Alright, so we can only post 15-minute clips at a time, so we're going to restart. The first video, we already looked at the outside and just kind of briefly looked at the longer version that the kids are going to do. And then we did our eye cut, and we found in the last video the liver, and then we were kind of debating as we got more towards the caudal fin about some of the other things. So just as a recap, we did the liver already, we found the esophagus, we traced that down to the kind of whitish J-shaped stomach. Then we actually determined later on that this triangular shaped really dark piece was the spleen. And then after that, I don't know if it actually was in our video. I think our video might have cut it out. We also cut into the stomach. I'm not sure if that was in the last video or not. We didn't find any food in this whatsoever, but it is interesting to see the wrinkled texture. And then from there, we determined that the striped form that we're seeing here, it's almost like a bluish purple stripe, is the spiral intestine. And then I don't know if that would be interesting to cut into or not. And then from there, we were kind of debating what was the kidneys versus what were the uterine sacs. And basically what we've determined while we were waiting for the first video to upload is that we think that these two long, white, really hard things on either side are the uterine sacs. So we're going to go ahead and cut into those and see if we can see any. It's kind of a membrane on the outside that I'm going to start with. So I'm cutting away that membrane. And as soon as I cut away that membrane, I immediately see a baby shark here. So I'm not sure what the hard part is, if that is
the yolk sac.
If that's the yolk sac, if that's the kidney, if that's the no. Well, anyways, I don't know. Yeah, maybe the ovaries themselves. I'm not really sure. That's the part I'm going to have to do some more research on. But next to that hard, white object is the shark right inside the membrane. And I think I'm just going to completely... It's joined to that by a white cord. So I'll have to read up a little bit more. This, I'm guessing, is like the nutrition or something.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm guessing that that's the yolk sac. I'm surprised because it says that there's normally like 3 to 7 pups. So I'll have to look in the other one, but so far we've just got one in this one. And so I'll go ahead and separate it, I guess. And we can see the eyes, we can see the 2 pectoral fins, the dorsal fin, the caudal fin. And I see a second. That's interesting. I kind of see one pelvic fin. The pelvic fins don't really look even. I don't know. But so that's kind of interesting to see there. And then I'll go to the other side and see if on this, do you think, this one's up so much higher, don't you think, Charlie?
Yeah.
So do you think it is? I mean, it said there were 2 uterine sacs. So I'm going to try to cut that membrane again. Oh, there. Maybe this is something?
I think that's a shark right there.
Okay, so I'm going to cut this membrane and try to reach inside the membrane here. Yep, there is a shark there. So just inside. I think there is, because this one's bigger. Yep. Go ahead. Do you want to? So we've got 2 more sharks in this one side. So maybe that's why this side is so much larger. Is just because it does have 2 sharks in it. And so I can kind of remove those.
But that one was attached to this one.
Right, so there's 2 sacs here. So those are the yolk sacs, I guess. So as we take those out, basically we have a yolk sac, and then it's attached to the shark here. So it's getting its nutrients there. And then, can you see the cameras?
That's good.
Okay, so you can kind of see that. So I'm just going to set the 3 pups apart and the yolk sacs apart. Remove all those, and I don't think it looks like we've just got 3 for this shark. Now the other things that we could look at, we could cut into the spiral intestine if we wanted to. Another thing, Charlie used his scissors because I really couldn't earlier cut into any higher than the pectoral fins, but Charlie used scissors to cut apart and see, and we just cut a line going a little closer to the mouth. It's really hard up here, a lot more almost bone-like, but you can in there see the heart when you get that much cut away. So that might be interesting for the kids. I don't know if they could do it or if you'd have to have the parent aid do it, but kind of cut apart so that they could see the heart. And then another thing I saw in another video was some people did dissect the gills themselves, and they really just seemed to cut away all of the surrounding flesh. Our guide doesn't talk about that. I could do it just to know if it's worth doing or not. It just seems like up here it's a lot more tough, and so it might be something that would be tough for kids to do. And I kind of feel like I'm cutting really deep, and I don't really know if I'm doing damage or if I need to cut even deeper because it is so thick up here compared to around the... Yeah, it's really hard to cut right here. I'm not sure if it's going to be worth it or not. Harley, you want to try that for a second and see if you get anything? Because I know I have all female volunteers, so I don't know. I don't think the kids would be able to do this part. And try the other side to see if you can kind of get out part of the gills. So yeah, I don't think this is going to be worth doing. It's the same thing. You're kind of getting a view of the inside of the gills, but there's...
Hard to do without destroying.
That's the thing, is I saw someone do it, and really there wasn't anything interesting to see. You can see inside the gills, but there's really not much to see. I mean, you can see the lines of the gills, but I don't know if it's worth it, and it's a lot of effort. The other thing that it was mentioned in our guide was that you can find the brain. They said it's between the two eyes and then back a little bit even. This feels very hard to me. So they were basically saying you could shave away layer after layer here to try to find the brain, just if you were interested in seeing it and that it has 3 different parts to it. I really think it's going to be like impossible for kids to do based on feeling how hard this is. I mean, it's pretty hard. And there's a little soft part right here. I don't know if that's maybe where it is. Do you want to try that, or do you want to call it a day on our dissection?
Give it a shot.
Might as well, since we've got it here. And so I think when I do this, I'll start with trying to spend a good amount of time letting the kids observe the outside. So I might have them feel the skin, identify the different fins and count them, perhaps even like measure the dorsal fin or measure the pectoral fins. I might probably have them count the gills, look at the nostrils, all of that. So we'll start with the exterior. And then I think when I do this with the kids, I'll probably separate system by system. So we'll probably start with the digestive system, identify, probably the liver because it's the hugest, most obvious thing. And then look at the esophagus, follow it down to the stomach, cut inside the stomach, point out the intestinal. I think you're getting to the brain there. Point out the spiral intestine, and then maybe we'll go back and do the heart in order to talk about the circulatory system. I'm not sure if it's worth going back and dissecting the gills, so maybe we won't do so much with the respiratory system. And then from there, we could probably go to the reproductive system. That kind of seems like the natural finale. So it'll be exciting for the kids to find the pups and see how many pups they have. I probably won't do this brain part, just because I think it'll be hard to do. But he's cutting away the skin now. and trying to see if he can identify where the brain is. So I think I'll probably just end with the pups. To me, it seems like if I stretch out the beginning to 15 minutes and then maybe the end 20, 30 minutes, to me it seems like this is going to be like a 45-minute dissection. Since my class is 2 hours long, I'm probably going to need some activities, some kind of reflection sheets to have them do at the end. I'm not sure yet what that will be like, but we'll have to have some kind of reflection at the end, just for time's sake. And I will say, the smell is not horrible. It's actually, it hasn't bothered me whatsoever. Like I said, we took it outside before we started. I opened the package and pulled the shark out. Yep, it looks like you did. And I was expecting the brain to be really small because that's everything I had read. I don't really see 3 parts. I see, I guess, 2 lobes, but that does seem like it is the brain. So maybe that's not too hard to do, was it?
It's kind of hard not to cut myself.
Okay, so maybe the only way I would do the brain is if a parent wanted to do it, and that would not be something, because it is really hard, it looks like, the material you're cutting away. Yeah. It's really hard cartilage. So I guess I would say if parents want to do it, maybe that they could follow up on that in the end. But I won't have the kids do that then. So yeah, I took it outside. I pulled the shark out, threw the package that had most of the juices directly in the trash, and then I just poured a bucket of water over the shark to try to get away any extra stuff. It was definitely a fishy smell when we did that, but when we brought it in the house, you can kind of smell a little bit of fishy smell, but I didn't use Vicks Vapor Rub or anything like that under my nose. I did crack the windows in our kitchen, but overall, the smell hasn't been too bad. There's not a ton of fluid or mess coming out, so I think it has been pretty successful, and I think I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording because I think we've got to all the systems we wanted to get to.